Back again, another day to see you guys again.
Hi, Celebrate Recovery Forever family.
We love this time to be with you guys. I wish we were together. We have come up with another video for you guys, and we'd like you to watch it. This is a pretty good one as well, and it's by a famous sports player, Tim Tebow. Tebow. And he has something good to say. So we'll see you afterwards.
This is the day. A day for change. A day that can be different, better than yesterday. A day that even in the revolving doors of responsibilities and to-dos can be filled with more purpose and passion than you think possible. It's never too late. You're not too young. You're not too old. You can have purpose not only in your life, but in this day. There is always something you can do right now to improve yourself, to make an impact on someone, or to create or enjoy a meaningful moment. Challenge yourself right now. Begin to think about each day as an opportunity to crush it, to pursue the right things, to gain a better perspective, to step out of your comfort zone, and to go all in. It's time to uncover your God-given potential and start really living. Life isn't just about one day. It's about this day. June 26, 2016, Delta Flight 1772. It started as any other flight. Then all of a sudden I start to hear some whispers and see people turning their head and looking to the back of the airplane like something was happening. And so I turn around and look back, and I can kind of see a lady crying back there a little bit, but I can't really make out too much of what's going on. Then finally a flight attendant comes walking by and she says, "Does anyone have an EpiPen?" And then another flight attendant comes walking by a few seconds later, "Is there a doctor on board, or any of you doctors?" So I kind of stand up again and look, and I can't really see anything. And I'm like, you know what, I can't do anything anyway, so why even make a big deal about it? I'm not a doctor, I don't have an EpiPen, I don't know what's going on. Probably someone had allergic reaction, or maybe they're motion sick, I don't know. And so I don't need to worry about it. I put my headphones back on and I hit play on the movie. God starts to nudge my heart. You need to do something. You need to do something. My first reaction is, no, I don't want to do anything. I'm not a doctor. There's nothing that I can do. I can't help in any way. I don't need to do anything. So I continue to watch and kind of argue with God in my head. I can't do anything. That voice gets louder. Timmy, you need to do something. So I hit pause on the movie and I sit for a second. Okay, God, and I take off my headset and I see a flight attendant right up there, and so I unbuckle and I walk up to her and I say, "Ma'am, I don't know what's going on, but see that woman back there that's crying? Maybe you could walk back there and see if she would want me to pray with her. Maybe there's something I can do to encourage her." She said, "Okay," and she totally ignored me and didn't walk back there at all. And another flight attendant walked by me and I said, "Hey, ma'am, you think it would be okay if you'd go ask that lady back there if I could maybe pray with her?" She said, "Of course." She walked back there very intently. She whispered to the woman, and instantly the flight attendant comes walking back to me and she starts waving me over fast like this. And so as I get farther to the back of the plane, I see this older gentleman laying on the ground, prostrate, and blood is coming out of his mouth as he's laying there unconscious. Then I get to the lady crying and her friend who's trying to console her, and as I get to her, they turn and they see me and they fall into my arms. And one of the ladies just cries uncontrollably, and the other one says, "I've run out of words, you pray." And so I'm kind of shocked and overwhelmed, but I pray for God's hand of mercy. I pray for a wall of protection. I pray for a miracle. When I finish praying, I get to meet these two ladies. Debbie, who is the wife of Boots, who's unconscious laying on the ground, and her friend Karen is her co-worker and good friend who was flying on a business trip, but also to spend time together in Arizona. She was trying to console Debbie, and I get the chance to meet them and cry with them and pray with them, and it's a cycle we repeat for the next hour until we're landing in Scottsdale, Arizona. And as we're landing, the ambulances are rushing to the plane, and they come on from the back of the plane, and as the doctors and the nurses are working on Boots, and they're doing CPR, and they're trying to find a pulse, and the last thing we hear before we get off the plane is, "We think we have a pulse." Hope finally speaks. They put him into the ambulance, and they won't let Debbie go with them, so we just pick up all the blood-stained clothes, and I meet them once we get off the plane, and I get all of their bags, and I have an SUV waiting for me, and so I put Debbie and Karen in my SUV and put all the bags in the back, and we rush into the hospital, and they put us in a waiting room as we cry and pray and hope for the best. Finally, the doctor walks in and tells us, "I'm so sorry for your loss." The doctor said, "Would you like to come say your final goodbyes to Boots?" And Debbie says yes, and she asked me to escort her back to the room, and so she sits beside him and she holds his hand and she starts to reminisce and tell stories about Boots and her, and she starts to tell me, it's kind of crazy, but a month ago, for some reason, God put it on her heart to tell Boots in the middle of this movie, "Thank you for being my rock while I battled leukemia. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for everything you have done for me. And if I have never told you, I want to tell you now, thank you, and I love you." And before they got married, Debbie and Boots promised each other that they were going to travel because their parents always talked about it, but they never did. They were living out their passions. They were living out something that God had put on their heart that they always wanted to do. My question to you is, are you living out what's on your heart? Playing in sports my whole life, I've played with so many athletes that are so talented, and yet there's still so many that will waste it because they won't start eating right till one day. They won't do the right thing. They won't get any sleep. They won't do these things, and it's so frustrating because you say, wow, God's given you all of this. Take advantage of it. Use it. Make the most of it. Guys, sometimes I feel like that's true in our lives, sometimes in my life. One day I'm going to go on a mission trip. One day I'm going to get right with God. One day I'm going to go back to church. One day I'm going to start having a meaningful life. One day I'm going to have a life of significance. James 4:14 pretty much tells us that we're here today and we're gone tomorrow. Guys, we don't know how much time we have, but we do know that we can make it count. Because we serve a God that loves us so much, and He's invested in us, and He wants to be a part of our lives, not just for one day, but for this day. Are you living a one-day life? Are you living a this day life? That this day is going to matter, that this day is important, that this day is the day where you can change someone's life. You're not going to wait for another time, for another chance, because we don't know if we'll ever get it. But you do have this day. Make this day count. Make this day on purpose. Make this day important. Make this day a day that is going to change someone's life.
I can't imagine what that woman was feeling on the plane. In that moment when there was no one to help her husband and her friend had run out of words, and here's a stranger coming up saying, "Can I pray for you?" Like, I mean, I know I've been through some times where having someone come up and tell me, you know, "Can I pray for you with you right now?" has been a blessing, a huge blessing. But can you imagine in that moment on a plane, you know, going through all that? I mean, that's just amazing. But you know, how many times have I sat there and argued with the Lord about whether or not I wanted to go talk to that person who obviously needed somebody to talk to him?
I think we do it a lot more than we're willing to admit. I think that a lot of us are that way. I mean, it seems to be the norm almost. And I think that this is a really, really good point. In Matthew 7:12, so in everything do to others what you would have them do, you would have them do to you. And I think that that says it all. I mean, I think that in life, in man's world, we're kind of all about ourselves and all about us and our family, and we don't really think about our neighbors and the person that's in need and the person that is laying on the airplane. I mean, it can be in the street, or how many times do you drive down the road and pass a car that's broke down alongside of the highway and don't stop out of fear? I mean, you know.
You know, in Hebrews 13:16, it says, do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased. Because I don't have a problem stopping and talking to somebody who's having a great day. But sometimes stopping and talking to the person who's hurting is beyond my comfort zone. And you know, that's when I'm sacrificing, and that's pleasing God when I'm doing that. So I think that that's a very good point for us to follow.
I think it's what we're supposed to follow. I think we're supposed to take care of all of our neighbors and all of our friends and all of the people in our town and the strangers that are next door and the people that we should know but don't, and all of those things. I mean, how many of you out there know your neighbor? How many of you can say that you know the names of each and every one, and not just their name, but know who they are, you know? I think that it's an important thing. Anyway, I think that's enough of that. I think that we should talk about.
So let's remember to pray for our families, pray for our neighbors, pray for our leaders, pray for our president, the pressure he must be under right now. Let's lift up this country in prayer. Let's connect with our friends, our family, connect with your sponsor, connect with your group people. Let's take this time to try and get closer to the people around us, to know who we can turn to, you know, and help out, be willing to help out the neighbor that needs you. This is the perfect time to show who we are as a Christian. So, and with that, we'll see you next week. Adios. Oh, 7 o'clock, Zoom. We have the CRCR meeting. Don't forget to show up for that.
And then Sunday at 10 a.m. Don't forget about church.
Online?
And then Monday morning, 9 o'clock.
No, Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning, I'm sorry. Tuesday
morning. You forgot when the
morning,
men's breakfast was.
9
Wow.
o'clock. We'll be there with my coffee cup. You guys got to make your own breakfast.
And women, we're at 9 o'clock on Zoom for Women's Coffee Hour on Tuesdays and Fridays. See you soon.
See you guys. Have a good night. Bye.